In the next 30 minutes, opposition MPP opposes Special Prosecutor Kissi Agyebeng of the latest wanted notice for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, citing his failure to appear for questioning.
There are shambolic reasons. I mean, listening to you, the thing he outlined as the grounds or the reasons for declaring Ken Ofori-Atta as fugitive are not even criminal offenses. These things are not even known that you want somebody for question.
And top story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Blessed Sogah, and tonight the opposition New Patriotic Party has strongly opposed the special prosecutor's release of a wanted person notice for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, describing the move as shambolic and shocking. The office of the special prosecutor on its Facebook page today noted that this action stems from his failure to appear for questioning regarding multiple corruption-related investigations. This comes on the heels of an earlier explanation from Mr. Ofori-Atta himself that he's seeking medical care abroad. Let's get the details because my colleague Ken Jesse has been digging into the matters and also has come up with a number of issues that simplifies the matters for us. Ken, what are the details stated in terms of the reasons why Mr. Ofori-Atta has been declared wanted?
Well, so they've issued a wanted notice, and there you have his name, his sex, his eye color, his hair color, the age. They've stated that he's 66. And then the OSP has provided a space called possible location, and it has provided two locations, possibly, that he could be. That is the United States of America and the United Kingdom. And it states the reason why they've issued this notice of wanted notice. It says this suspect is wanted to answer charges in respect of several cases, including strategic mobilization, GRA contract, termination of ECG BXC contract, National Cathedral payments, ambulance procurement contract, and tax refund account utilization. It says that anyone with information on the whereabouts of this individual should alert the office by calling or sending a WhatsApp
and we know
message.
that earlier some details were provided on his medical status. What do we know about that?
Exactly. Those details were provided last week by the lawyers, and it says that please find attached here to a document indicating that our client is receiving medical attention at Mayo Clinic in the USA, detailing his appointment and timelines suggestive of a post-March date when our client may be able to be in Ghana. We shall be grateful if any attendance in person required by your august office is fixed, taking into account the medical report from the doctors. So these were given by the doctors of Ken Ofori-Atta. And then we have this one also here from the hospital directly. It says, hi, Mr. Kenneth Nana Yao Ofori-Atta has been seen and evaluated at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. His medical condition necessitates that he will stay and follow up on his appointments and undergoing further testing and management, including possible surgical intervention in March of 2025. So this is a copy of the letter the hospital sent directly
From the doctors.
Exactly, to the OSP.
And a lot has been unfolding on this. Thanks, Ken. But let's get more from legal practitioner Alfred Papadakwa, who's joining us now. Thank you so much, sir, for spending time with us. The OSP in its sports today explains that the reason why it declared the former finance minister wanted, he's been breaking down the issues for us, and Ken also providing us with some updates on that. Does it warrant some sound reasoning as to why you would want to declare him wanted?
Good evening, and I think what we should all be asking the OSP is, what is he wanted for? What are the offenses that he has committed that he is wanted? Does the OSP have enough evidence to proceed to prosecute Mr. Ofori-Atta? If yes, then the OSP should proceed to court and prosecute Mr. Ofori-Atta.
And if your grounds is that he should proceed, you mean proceed and try him in absentia?
Absolutely. Because with what is happening, you'll see that Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers have made some correspondence with the OSP. They have opened up to inform him of his whereabouts and the difficulty in him returning to the jurisdiction. If the OSP is not satisfied, why should the OSP issue an arrest? A wanted, put him on a wanted list.
The OSP has powers of the police, partly, which makes him able to declare a person wanted. He's not gone beyond the remits of the law, is it?
No, the powers that the OSP has of a police had to do with if he suspects upon reasonable grounds that Mr. Ofori-Atta has committed an offense. So the first thing is that there has to be an offense committed. Now, in all the correspondence of the OSP, do we know the offense that has been committed by Mr. Ofori-Atta?
At least that is being stated now in the official post on Facebook. Matters relating to the National Cathedral, the SML scandal. These are and a number of the items listed.
No, these are not offense. Every offense is stated in the Act 29.
Yeah, but he says he says corruption related offenses. It's clear in that notice on Facebook.
No. The OSP should let us know, because at this stage, you see, if you look at the regulations of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Regulations 2018, at this stage, the OSP is undertaking a full-scale investigation. That is the stage he's gotten to, full-scale investigation. And under this place, you would have to invite any person that you think is related to the issue. Now, you've invited the individual. His lawyers say he's unavailable because he's indisposed. If the OSP is not convinced and he thinks he has enough evidence to proceed or prosecute him, he should proceed and prosecute him. But if you declare him wanted, the presumption is that he's running away and you don't believe his lawyers. That is what the OSP is saying.
Yeah, but I guess the OSP has explained his case, right? The fact that this gentleman we're talking about has not stated at any point that he is willing to come on a specific date. The inability to find a specific timeline is what is forcing the OSP now to act.
So is the OSP saying by declaring him wanted, he will be coming, or the OSP wants to force him to come because he has declared him wanted? The point I'm making is that if the OSP has enough grounds to prosecute him, he should move to court and prosecute him.
Okay, and fortunately, the national organizer of the NPP, Henry Nanabuachi, is also joining the conversation. And thanks, Nanabi, for joining us. Clearly, your party is not happy about what's happening. In fact, the OSP is scaling up his activities and now clearly declaring the former finance minister as wanted.
Good evening. I am particularly humbled as to why the OSP is still engaging in this drama and this sensational act of going nowhere. I mean, how can you declare a person who is not under arrest or who has not been arrested on any suspicion, any grounds whatsoever of any crime, or has he been charged with a particular offense? How? And just like the respected person you just spoke to, look, even if Mr. Ofori-Atta should appear before you, he has rights enshrined in the Constitution to be mute, to keep quiet, not to answer even a question from you. He has that right. It's enshrined in the Constitution. So even if you call them, even a person should appear before you and he decides not to talk. So what do? If you have enough evidence, proceed to court. If you have evidence that is prosecutorial enough, go to court. I read it, and it says that anybody with information or his whereabouts should alert the office of the special prosecutor. And I'm like, this is laughable. Why? Because you are in touch with his lawyers. In fact, at a time when you even said you did not believe the fact that he is out of the jurisdiction on medical grounds, the health facility also wrote to you. They have an address, an email address. A doctor signed it. So they are in correspondence with you. So how do you declare somebody a fugitive, somebody wanted, just within a certain period of 2 weeks, or let's say 3 weeks? The first time we wrote to Mr. Ofori-Atta was, I think, on the 22nd of January. It's not even up to a month.
Tell me, in all of his activities, where has the OSP faulted now?
But that is exactly what I'm saying. I mean, if you think that you have enough grounds, because you've mentioned some cases where you need his presence to conduct some investigation, if you think that you have enough evidence against him and that you want to proceed to court because he is wanted for these offenses and you have evidence, then proceed to court.
And Nanabi, the point about being preemptive on the OSP, that has also come to the fore, isn't it? Knowing that the OSP has never stated, ever since his press briefing, that he intends to directly prosecute Mr. Ofori-Atta. He's never mentioned that. So why is Ken Ofori-Atta not willing to at least provide the answers to the questions that he's been yearning for?
If you don't intend to prosecute the person, then where are all these string of drama leading to?
Yeah, but you're preempting him, correct? You're preempting that perhaps he wants to directly prosecute Mr. Ofori-Atta. The point is that he says there are a number of questions to be answered.
That is why I'm saying that the person can even appear before you. The person has an inherent right under the 1992 Constitution to even keep quiet, to be mute, to be silent.
Yeah, but that has not occurred.
But that is what I'm trying to say. That I am only trying to tell you that because the person has that right, if the person is not around and you think that you need him for investigation, and he says that, look, I am not well, I am receiving medication outside, so I'll be in, because the doctor said that they are undertaking series of medical examination, and they will be willing to at least give a date in March. So in March, they can tell you that, oh, maybe he will come at this time, because some of these tests and exams they are doing may lead to some other procedures. So what are you in a rush for? That is why I'm saying that he's being unreasonable. Unreasonable in the sense that the very first time you wrote to Mr. Ofori-Atta was on the 24th of January. Mr. Ofori-Atta, for almost about a year now, was no longer the finance minister. He's been in the country. And you were the OSP. And all of these issues are already in the system. We know them already. The SML issue, we know them. In fact, the president caused KPMG thoroughly investigate this matter. When they finished, the president, out of transparency, the former president, out of transparency, even made it public. So these are issues we know already. The national cathedral issues we know already. All the issues he's mentioned, they are not new. But Mr. Ofori-Atta, he was in the country. He's not been finance minister for almost about a year. And he's been in the country since. And he only left 2nd of January. And even when he was leaving, he sought permission. And even after the new chief of staff came, he again wrote to him. So if you think that you need the person badly, I mean, there are so many options to you. Why? At the time you were conducting the investigation on the Airbus, you traveled all the way to UK to go and interview Sam Mahama, President Mohammed's brother. So if you need the person that badly, his physical presence, you need that badly, you can again go to the United States of America to interrogate him.
Okay, and by this, you're clearly telling us on live radio that Mr. Ofori-Atta is in the US?
But the hospital went to the office of the special prosecutor.
I'm saying that because on this official notice, red alert by the OSP, he says perhaps Mr. Ofori-Atta may have been to the US or the UK, but because there's no certainty as to where he is. Can you clearly tell Ghanaians where Mr. Ofori-Atta is?
I am going by strictly what the health facility wrote. They said that Mr. Ofori-Atta is their patient.
Yeah, but they haven't said that he's stationed at their health facility.
He can find out.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. You are a law-abiding citizen. I believe that you'd want to aid a law.
I don't know what I'm trying to tell you.
So do you know where Ken Ofori-Atta is?
Oh, I know that the health facility is that he's in the United States and they are conducting some medical examination on him.
I mean, Ken Ofori-Atta is in the hospital as we speak.
I know that the hospital has written to the OSP.
My question, sir, my question, sir, is about where we can locate the former finance minister.
But that is what I'm trying to say. His lawyers are there.
No, I haven't asked about his lawyers. I'm asking about where he is.
No, but that is what I'm saying. The hospital, the letter from the hospital is the United States of America.
Yeah, I'm asking you because you've told us you're urging the special prosecutor to go to the US just as he's done in the case of Mr. Mahama. To the UK. Yeah, and that's why I'm asking that, knowing how close. If you could just hold on for me, sir. Knowing how close you are, just hold on for me, sir.
If you need him badly, you can just write to his lawyers that you want to have maybe a Zoom meeting with him.
I get that. I'm just saying because you are throwing up that challenge to the OSP, perhaps you are closer to Mr. Ofori-Atta than the OSP. Are you able to provide the address, perhaps, where he is, where he's located in the US?
Oh, the hospital. I mean, the hospital wrote to him.
So Mr. Ofori-Atta is in the hospital as we speak?
He is at the hospital.
I see. Yes. I see. And this is a good time to bring in Adam Senano, who's an anti-corruption campaigner. Adam, you've been listening to the NPP's point on this. They are categorically telling us that Ken Ofori-Atta is hospitalized now. At least that's what we're getting from the leadership of the NPP.
Well, I don't think that the correspondence so far has been definite on that. And I think that what we should recognize is that any law-abiding citizen of the country, when invited by a security agency for questioning, ought to demonstrate the willingness to do so. If you're not available immediately, you ought to be providing specifics. So say in 2 weeks, in 1 month, and obviously the entity would then ask you for further and better particulars. Where then if you're in a medical facility, the medical facility should be able to say, look, we are doing tests for the next 2 weeks. After that, if the prognosis is good, we release him, he comes back. If not, we'll go into surgery for another 2 weeks. We estimate that maximum in 6 weeks, he should be able to come back. That kind of specificity, I'm sure, would reassure any security agency that in good faith, this individual has a commitment to coming back and answering the necessary questions. So far, that has not happened. When Mr. Ofori-Atta responded and said he was unavailable indefinitely. I think that is what began to trigger this downhill situation. You can't tell a security agency. In fact, I don't think that any citizen would dare give that kind of response ordinarily, that you are indefinitely unavailable. And then going on, yes, there's a medical report or letter, but that again did not have the specifics that someone who says, I need you to engage with you and to reassure them. And matters was made worse when they then accused the OSP of raiding the house. I think that between him and his lawyers, they should give a definite sense of when he will be available, because every citizen must be willing to provide themselves, make themselves available, and that's a sign of accountability.
Okay, let me
public officers.
Yeah, let me attempt one more time, since Nana B is with us, to provide some answers. Nana B, are you still there? We seem to have lost Henry Nana Boakye, who's national organizer of the NPP. But I was just going to find out then from him as to the issue about the definite date. But that's not forthcoming, Adam.
The problem, even when eventually he says he's in hospital, the documentation doesn't say that. They just say he is our patient. They are not specific to say he is there.
Yeah, Adam, just hold on. Just hold on briefly. Let's clear that off with Nana B, because he's with us. Nana B, the question from anti-corruption campaigners, the point about when exactly Ken Ofori-Atta would return.
I will not be able to say so, but then what I gathered from the letter from the health facility said that they will be able to provide a date in March, because they are running series of medical tests on him.
So all you can tell us now is hearsay, if I may put it that way, reports.
No, that is what I'm trying to say, that they will be able to provide a date in March, not in March. But that is where I've always been saying that, look, if you need somebody for investigation, a healthy correspondence, it doesn't hurt. Healthy correspondence, if you are not in agreement with what the other party said, you can always seek clarification.
Yeah, I get it. And it appears now that Ken Ofori-Atta's case must be that serious. The leader of your party, at least then flag bearer of your party, who you worked with closely, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was just in the US a couple of days ago, together with high-ranking officials of the NPP. In fact, your own boss, Justin Kodia, the General Secretary, was there with him, together with some MPs. Why didn't the former vice president pay a visit to Ken Ofori-Atta just to see how well he's doing or otherwise? I mean, we're all concerned about his health now.
Oh, I'll find out from them if they did. I'm not too sure if they're able to pass by, but I'll find out from them.
Dr. Bawumia couldn't visit Ken Ofori-Atta?
Did you hear my answer?
Because I mean, this is the most influential person.
Stay on focus. That is a difference. You want to deliver a speech.
Yeah, I mean, the NPP you say is a big family.
No. I think that you need to be focused. I mean, these are
you don't want to go into why your leadership failed to at least care for the former finance minister. You say it's not well.
Find out. You are now making a categorical statement that they failed. How will you know if they did so? So that is what I'm saying. You have been honest.
So Dr. Bawumia will pay a visit to Ken in the US. At least he's in the US now.
That is what I'm saying. You are being unnecessarily mischievous. Stay online. Stay focused.
You were controlling partly the itinerary of the former vice president when he was campaigning.
Say that whatever they do, I mean, there will be some. If it is their own private arrangement, I don't know. I can confirm, but as we speak, the reasons why I was called for this interview, I'm not sure that it covers that angle. And I don't know. That is why when immediately you asked, I said that I am not aware, so I can find out. And I think that we should have moved on. So if you continuously try to push, then obviously I can only conclude that you have been unnecessarily mischievous.
Okay. Well, I'm also just doing my job, by the way. Adam, you've heard the response from Nana B.
Yes, I have.
Your take, sir.
Hello.
Yes, Adam, yes.
Sorry, you said I've heard a response. What was the question?
On the issue of the specific date, yes.
And that's unfortunate, and that's the reason why the OSP has proceeded on this trajectory. I think they wanted much more concrete, affirmation that this is what is going on. I think that if they had not ended up with even the accusation of the OSP raiding, it made the relationship, would have been more cordial. As it is, I think ideally they should just, if I were the representatives or the lawyers, I probably want to reach out, apologize for that last communication suggesting that they had intentionally raided the house and all that, and try and facilitate an engagement with the hospital if he really is there, because all of us are wondering exactly where he is at the moment, and try and give a definite response. Otherwise, this will be setting a very wrong precedent that anyone can just begin to say indefinitely, unavailable. That wouldn't augur well for good governance in this country.
And of course, we're grateful to you, Adam Sedano. Nana, any final comments on this as we wrap up?
Yes. I think that the OSP can do his work without engaging in, again, this kind of drama. If you think that you have sufficient evidence to prosecute, prosecutorial evidence, you can proceed to court. This is not a big issue. And I don't think that, and again, the last time I spoke to you, I made this point. The day he had his press conference, he mentioned that he has intelligence that Mr. Ofori-Atta himself orchestrated the raid on his own home. And it turned out that it was not true. As we speak, he's not even issued an apology. And this is even serious. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, you move in this tangent where you just speculate that you have intelligence. Then I ask, what kind of intelligence are you then working with? What kind of intelligence? Again, you also mentioned that Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Hamid is under investigation. When at the time you said that he had not even received any information. He had not received any invitation. He didn't even know. He just heard it on on the platforms, just like any other person. And I don't think that is how the special prosecutor should be doing his work.
Right. And we're grateful for your time. But just to state on record as well that we're not being mischievous with that question on whether or not the Vice President, former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was going to visit Ken Ofori-Atta. Clearly, he is in the U.S., or he was in the U.S. at least over the weekend, and that's why we're asking the question. But grateful for your time, Henry Nana-Boakye, National Organizer of the NPP, and to you, Adam Senano, as well as lawyer Alfred Papa Dankwa, for spending some time with us here on Top Story. I'm Blessed Sogah. Next, it's Newsnight.
Reasons why we connect each child. It not be say we won't make one our loved ones happy.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That be my daughter, Angela. Say I go take care of my parents, it be my duty. Say make her pay my bills. I dey use Telecel cash. The suppliers for my shop there.
Hello boss, I get a Telecel cash alert too. They deliver the things right here.
And they make them happy because I fit pay them directly to my merchant number for any network talk. Then sort my people out with Telecel cash for free.
If one of family parties, then business partners, they happy. It be they make one a connection strong. Carry Telecel cash, send money, give your people for them a Telecel cash wallet store. Any day, anytime. It be free. Make you save money. Tap cool. Then make your menace smile. Anytime you go carry Telecel cash, send them money.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears. Bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me die, not my God, with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, boss. I just drove out of your premises. I've called you several times. Boss, I beg.
I gave you an opportunity to present your proposal with your financial statements. You didn't. If we approve and request for an invoice, that will take you another month, eh? You couldn't even provide receipts from the last job. My brother, we have given the contract to someone else who promptly furnished us with what we needed. Get serious.
Yehoah,
Don't be caught in this mess ever again. Restart with Build. Build provides businesses with a comprehensive accounting software with features that make your bookkeeping, accounting, tax, and payroll functions seamless. Our support team is always available to assist and respond to all your inquiries. Log on to www.build.africa and sign up. Call 030-80-4007 or 0303-974-832 for more information. Build. Bookkeeping made simple. Results made extraordinary.
This is Joy 99.7 FM. We're also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, myjoyonline.com and 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, 6 more persons arrested by police in Kumasi during the rerun of the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region by the Electoral Commission after last week's chaotic scenes. We're live in the region tonight as former NDC regional chairman Yao Bimpe is declared winner.
His Excellency has gotten somebody who can advise him. He's going to work so that Ashanti region has its fair share. We thank.
Stay with me. I'll take you live to the Ashanti region for the very latest on that re-election of the Council of State. That was actually rerun today after last week's chaotic scenes. Also, over 1,000 suggestions already submitted to the National Education Reform Committee as they begin the much anticipated review of the sector tomorrow in the Volta regional capital.
We have about 1,200 submissions that we are going to analyze, a number of them, and we are expecting that tomorrow at the launch, we will get about 300 people at the launch.
I have all the updates when it comes to that education sector review. Also, be fair to us, that's the crowd of pupils and teachers in the northern region as they beg government to fix their collapsing schools.
Every now and then, teachers and pupils are chased out of the class by snakes.
The whole school from KG1 to P6, we are only 2 teachers.
You see, this alone discourages most children. Are the children not Ghanaian children?
Be fair to us. Let's be fair.
That's coming up in our latest series, Crumbling Start. Also tonight, Joy News checks reveal inconsistencies in reports regarding the allocation of 70% of the cocoa market value as farm gate prices for cocoa farmers. There's more as Cocobog demands claims saying it's false and misleading. We have a very latest from the Agric Minister as he makes a U-turn from his earlier position.
5.3 billion. Fako tuyaka na yaba to hose tuya. Na me ka say where am I say a trap. Say a person to cocoa milk you afford ka say the perokra. Because of this, how can we do it?
And in business, President John Mahama moves to rationalize Ghana's tax structure to help deal with issues of compliance.
And as well as please arrest the general manager of Elimina Sharks, Kelvin Abuaji, in connection with the attack on match officials during the Access Bank Division 1 League game against All Blacks.
Details of that and more. Plus, we hear from Kenyan President William Ruto expressing regret over the failure by African leaders to vote in favor of the country's candidate Raila Odinga to serve as the next chairperson for the African Union.
I am disappointed that Raila Amolo Odinga did not win. And I have a regret for Africa that they missed an opportunity to be served by the finest.
But why are Kenyans taking a swipe at Ghana's President Mahama over an alleged promise to vote for Raila Odinga? You want to stay for that and more. Also, President John Mahama returns to Ghana with an assurance that his administration is actively tackling inflation and addressing other critical economic challenges. That and more in tonight's edition of News. Now, you want to join us with your thoughts, your comments is via WhatsApp is 055-111-11997. You're on all our social media platforms. You're live with us. You can leave a message with the hashtag Newsnight. I am Emefa. Apawu. Many thanks for your company. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Let's dig in now and get updates on that rerun of the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region. We know about the Northeast. Rerun, and of course, without the chaos and the drama as we've witnessed in the Ashanti region. Tonight, 6 more persons have been arrested in Kumasi alone as the Electoral Commission reruns the Council of State elections. Well, the rerun follows last week's violent disruption where thugs stormed the election venue, attacking officials and destroying materials, including thumb-printed ballot papers. Well, the police heavily criticized for their security lapses in the previous election. Today, we are told ramped up security for the polls. Multiple barricades were set up with strict orders to prevent unauthorized access. Well, my colleague Nanaya Ojima will give us all the updates on that. However, trouble still found its way in. Despite the heightened measures, security forces were forced to intervene, leading to at least 7 arrests so far. Let me take you to the Ashanti region now. I think we want to hear from the horse's own mouth. Nanaya Ojima has been monitoring this from last week up until now. Joins us on the line. Nanaya, so in the morning, you told us that 1 person had been arrested for entering the inner perimeter. We now know that 6 more persons have been arrested. What exactly did they do?
So according to my sources, these people breached security protocols that had been adopted by the police to ensure that this election was peaceful and successful. Now, some of them had gone beyond designated areas for supporters, and others were found to be causing some troubles within among the supporters. And these among others, are the reasons why police had to pick these people out.
Interesting, but we also understand that where there were 11 aspirants at the start, we understand some also pulled out. What exactly happened?
So this one in the Electoral Commission received a letter from one of the aspirants notifying them that the aspirant had withdrawn himself from the election. Earlier, there were other press releases and other aspirants on the media platforms claiming that they have withdrawn from the election, but not all of them could send notification to the Electoral Commission. So according to the Electoral Commission, all these people remained in the race, but none of those people who had sent press releases out could make it to the venue. About 3 people were not cited at the venue. So to them, they had withdrawn themselves from the race, but the Electoral Commission received only 1 notification of withdrawal.
Thankfully, we are told that all is set and done. Polls have ended, sorting done, counting done, declaration has been done. We are told Yao Bimpe has been declared winner.
Exactly. Former chairman of the NDC, Yao Bimpe, has been declared winner of the election. He was able to make 49 votes. He was closely followed by Nana Nkansa Boadu with 35 votes. And finally, one Anesi was able to poll 1 vote. The rest of the aspirants in the election had no votes. Out of the 86 assembly members or delegates who were supposed to cast their ballots in this election, 85 of them showed up to participate in the electoral process.
And what's been reactions so far?
So after the election, some NDC supporters were outside the premises waiting for the winner of the election, and they all joined him and sang through some streets of Kumasi to the party office. They are excited about the victory that has been chalked by the former chairman of the NDC in Ashanti region.
His Excellency has gotten somebody who can advise him. In the name of Yao Bimpe, he has helped the party a lot. He deserves to be the Council of State for Ashanti region. I'll give thanks to all the members who voted for him. We know that we have a long way to go. Ashanti region must be united once again.
Thank you.
He's going to work so that Ashanti region has its fair share. We thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, everybody. I've lost of work.
What does it mean for the NDC?
We are moving forward.
Well, Nanayo, I'm told there was some concerns also raised by some aspirants about some assemblymen that were seen alighting from a bus. We'll talk about it shortly and briefly, but we're told that the one person nearly held the entire election to ransom. They were waiting for him to cast his ballot. What exactly happened?
So one assembly member from the Dancy area refused to show up for the election. The reason for he absenting himself is yet to be known. But from the sources, we gather that some people who had access to his, who had his number, tried calling him on phone, but unfortunately, all attempts to reach this person was not successful.
Okay, and you were telling me also, I think we should talk about those assemblymen also that were seen alighting from a bus. Some of the aspirants raised concerns about it. What exactly happened?
So, Emefa, as at midday, less than 30 of the delegates had showed up to cast their ballots. We were waiting for the rest of the electoral college. The information that had been received is that these people were camped somewhere, and very soon they will come to cast their ballots. Somewhere after midday, we saw all of them coming in a bus, about 40 assembly members, and they were led by the NDC chairman of the Ashanti region, Nana Kwesi, and also the organizer of the NDC in the Ashanti region, Isham Al-Hassan, who was also among the people who walked these people into the election grounds. According to Nana Ekweoko, who is an aspirant of in this election, he believes that this is not appropriate and shouldn't have been allowed, because camping of some of these electorates or some of the members of the electoral college is something that he believes that is not legal and shouldn't be done.
Council of State election was supposed to be non-partisan, so even if you are exposed politically, this is not the place to exhibit that form of exposition. We all know some of the candidates are either MPP or NDC, and it's not a hidden secret. But this is not the time to exhibit that, because, like I said, it's supposed to be non-partisan. So, passing people around, and we even hear that some will even come to and all those things. But I don't think it's a work well for the Council of State election. Before we realize it will become so much partisan that we cannot do anything about it.
Well, so that's the situation in the Ashanti region, rerun of the elections there after those chaotic scenes. Of course, 7 persons ended up being arrested today as well. In the northeast region, after that tiebreaker now, Saka Abuba has also been elected as the regional member of the Council of State. And we earlier heard from the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, just days ago. He told Joy News, he actually spoke on PM Express, that President Mahama will complete the constitution of the Council of State this week, all things being equal.
Right. Once we have gotten the 14 out of 16, the remaining 2 will not be a problem. The president can go ahead and do his appointment. The Council of State can be properly constituted without the 2 vacancies. As the Council of State, the president does his appointment, they are sworn in. Once they are sworn in, they can start proceedings. Then in due course, the 2 vacancies will be filled. Why were we in a hurry to organize the elections on the 11th of February when we knew we had not even done with the government appointees? Yeah. This was the president who gave his promise that he had certain things to be done within 120 days. And he was to form his cabinet within 2 weeks after serving, which all these things he has complied. So this should not be an obstruction to the president forming his government, and therefore it will be done. As I speak to you, I know the president is already having his list to his chest, and once the people of Ghana have spoken,
so roughly by the end of this month we should be done.
That would be too far.
Oh, even before the end of
even by I will not be surprised to say that by next week the president will go out. Don't we have a former chief of justice?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Don't we have the former IGP? Don't we have former chief of defense staff? Don't we have former inspector general of police? We have those people. How many are they? They are not many.
That's the Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. They're speaking to Blessed Sogah on PM Express. On PM Express is at 9 p.m. I was going to say Business Edition with George Yafi. Well, it's on every 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Some of your comments that you whatever it is you've heard so far, you can send in your comments to 055-1111-997. Let's turn our attention to cocoa-related matters now. And of course, the Minister for Food and Agriculture and Cocoa Board seems to be clashing on the issue about the percentages that in terms of the world market price that should be received by cocoa farmers. Well, he's shut down claims. That's the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku. He shut down claims that Ghanaian cocoa farmers will now receive 70% of the world market price following his initial Facebook post, which sought to suggest so. While speaking on Kissi saying on Asempa FM earlier, Mr. Eric Opoku says government will increase the cocoa price for farmers after a careful evaluation of how to offset the over 3 billion cedi debt left behind by the previous government in the cocoa sector. Well, you recall that he made a comment on the floor of Parliament with a different view on the said topic. Ghana's cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board, also came out and debunked claims on the cocoa farm gate price change, describing it as misleading and urging stakeholders and the general public to disregard the misinformation and rely solely on official communication channels for accurate updates on cocoa pricing. Well, he's been making a U-turn on Kissi saying, listen.
5.37%. The must say a due for payment this year. And what it means is say this year no sakana mo kan kire no we am hand over those kakao. Afia chief executive na call office no hwe nkratem no. The obehunu no may even be different from this. Because where the Omar report to actually now a new chief executive has gone into office. Ono hwe nkratem nyina awia. Odnama ne yebeba babo oman no. Ebi kura na the Omar report to chire na yeketwa. And it's a 5.37 billion in 1 year like this.
$1 billion or cedis?
Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis, okay.
This year like this. That's the chance. Say, unya kokos can this year. 5.3 billion. Fako tuya ka na about to hose tuya. Na me ka say, where am I? You say a trap. Say a person to kokon milk you afford kasi say the perukra. Because of this, how can we do it?
Yes.
NDC fra kunyaso.
Yes.
Na a car na wo cocoa board now was 1 billion.
1 billion Ghana cedis.
And
as you are more
27 billion. Now 27 billion say no anko ne kana san kenya issue. Enya no ko an ka no. In their handing over notes, brief from the brand copy ne kutam hey. The brand transition team no.
Yes.
Si cocoa a ko gis kaso beton last 2 years no. Ntimi an to cocoa ni nyina nkotua ka no. Nti ye demofo no ka cocoa a 374,000 tons.
That's in beans.
So that's the Food and Agriculture Minister, Eric Opoku, there speaking on Kissi saying on Asempa FM a while ago. So in essence, he's saying that his earlier posts on Facebook was taken out of context and that there will be an increase in cocoa price for farmers only after a careful evaluation of how to offset the over 3 billion cedi debt left behind by the previous government in the cocoa sector. The full interview is available on our social media platforms. We'll stay a while longer on cocoa matters, also this time on the economy largely. And President John Dramani Mahama has reasserted government's commitment to stabilizing Ghana's economy as a foundation for sustainable progress. While speaking at the Africa Business Forum 2025 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, he said his government is focused on stabilizing the city, tackling inflation, and addressing other critical economic issues.
In a crisis, the first thing you do is to focus on stabilizing, and so that's what we're focused on. Bringing interest rates down, bringing inflation down, stabilizing the currency, dealing with the debt overhang, and that's where our focus is for now. But at the same time, to analyze the factors that got Ghana into this place in the first place and put in the steps that ensure that we don't end up here again. And so that would entail looking at the Fiscal Responsibility Act and strengthening it, looking at the Public Financial Management Act and strengthening it, so that tomorrow we don't have a situation where a minister, goes onto the Eurobond market and borrows 11.5 billion over 5 years and puts most of it into consumption. Those are some of the things we need to look at. We need to look at our debt management department and strengthen it so that it's able to provide information to the public on what our debt trajectory is and keep it below a certain ceiling. We need to introduce an independent value for money office so that we're making sure that our projects are coming in at the right value and at the right cost. We need to make sure that we cut out waste, reduce corruption. Those are all things that have to be dealt with.
Well, President Mahama also stressed the urgent need for African countries to add value to their raw materials, stating that such efforts would also create employment opportunities.
The same with cocoa. We've exported cocoa beans for God knows how many years, and still we export cocoa beans. There's some processing capacity, it's about 30%. We have the capacity to process almost 500,000 tons of cocoa, but we're not processing that much. We're processing at about 200,000 tons because the cocoa board that needs to be restructured believes that it gets immediate foreign exchange when the beans are traded, and we sell for it, and so they get the money in advance before we even export one bean. But bringing the value addition home will be bringing jobs back so that our young people can get jobs to do, especially putting that processing in the areas where the cocoa is grown. And that's why we're excited about the initiative between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, because together we produce about 80% of the world's cocoa. And so if we coordinate and work together, not only in terms of improving production, but also in terms of processing and bringing processing up to that chocolate, that last chocolate home, we'll create more jobs for our young people, because we all recognize that with a growing youth population, yes, it's an advantage for Africa, but if we're not creating opportunities for these young people, then it becomes a ticking time bomb. And so we need to look at all those areas.
That's President John Dramani Mahama. He's also been speaking about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We'll talk about it shortly, but let's focus a bit more on his emphasis on stabilizing the city. Let's bring in Professor Godfred Bokping. He's an economist and professor of finance, University of Ghana Business School. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. In light of President Mahama's emphasis on stabilizing the city, do you get the sense that we are walking the talk in that regard?
I think to a large extent, we are still on the path of talking the talk, building on what we have heard in the last couple of decades and all of that. I think my considered view is that the president's second coming, we will now walk the talk. Because that's the only chance he has. And I want to believe that... and again, following from the NDC's manifesto, I want to believe that they will begin to roll out all these interventions, especially as they put their first major budget, the 2025 budget, and make that public to the people of Ghana, to the parliament. When it is approved, then it's work done. So largely, in terms of the talking the talk, it's largely consistent, and I think that the president has the right diagnosis of what the issues are. And of course, as a country and as a continent, we have not done badly in diagnosing what the issues are. The issue has been the implementation and then the consistency of that implementation. There was something the president said that moved me. The Independent Value for Money Office or committee also. I think that will be very, very critical. But it's not just about setting that up and packing that with party followers and all of that. I think we must be intentional about resourcing that committee or that office with the right people, with the right objectivity, so that they can do the right analysis in terms of the value for money, because that is where a lot of the waste will come from. If you look at our capex, budgetary allocation to capital expenditure in the last couple of years, and what we get out of that, it leaves much to be desired. And again, you can even link that to procurement. Come to think about it, that between 2012 and 2022, nearly 85% of all government big-ticket procurement did not go through competitive tendering. And a good number of that also did not come along with explanations why competitive tendering had to be sidestepped. Right. So, and then again, if you look at project overrun, cost overrun, sometimes 100%, 200% of the original budget and all of that. I mean, clearly, if you continue on that path, you will be unique to expect a different outcome than what we have now. And in fact, Emefa is the reason why, if you look at our expenditure to GDP ratio, and you compare that to Malaysia, Singapore, and the rest of them, you can see that we compare favorably to these countries. So we have spent relative to the size of our economy like these countries, but they picked growth, they picked development, and we picked inflation. We picked depreciation of the currency. We picked distraction. Why? It's because of the efficiency of that spending. So the role that infrastructure plays in economic growth and development is not just in the spending, but it's in the efficiency of that spending. It's in the higher value for money that you are able to elicit from every CD or dollar that you spend. Because remember, you don't have the money. So the little money that you have, you want to make sure that you spend them in a way that you derive the greatest value possible from that. We haven't done that in the last couple of years. I heard the president talking about strengthening the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Yes. And then also talking about debt limit rules. Yes, that is good. But remember, Nigeria also has debt limit rule. They actually set it as low as 40% of GDP. But in the run-up to the 2023 crisis and all of that, when they were learning from Ghana, Nigeria was spending practically every CD revenue or dollar revenue they generate on debt servicing, because they employed all kinds of back office arrangement with the central bank and ended up loading their debt stock as a way of bypassing the debt limit rule of 40% that was in their act. So there's one thing setting that act, then another thing developing the accounting arrangements around that to make sure that we comply with that. Let me give you an example.
Briefly on that.
The Fiscal Responsibility Act, we had a fiscal deficit of 5% of GDP from 2018. But in order not to comply with that, we were reporting our fiscal deficit on parallel level. One deficit with the financial sector cleanup costs and the energy sector indebtedness, and one without. And we chose the one without so that we'll be able to comply with the 5% of GDP a rule in the Fiscal Responsibility Act. So by excluding the financial sector cleanup costs and the energy sector indebtedness costs, we're able to comply with the Act. But at the end of the day, the accounting treatment does not take away the effect of the overspending, which is just a matter of time, and it will show up.
Okay. Professor Godfred Bopping, we are grateful for your time. He's an economist and Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, and still will stay a while longer at the AU Commission. And there's a lot of talk and controversy that has been generated following that particular election of the AU chairperson. And Kenyan President William Ruto has expressed regret that African leaders failed to vote in favor of Kenya's Raila Odinga to serve as the next chairperson of the African Union. So Mr. Odinga lost to Djibouti's long-serving foreign minister, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. He was pronounced the incoming chairperson at the 38th Africa Union Heads of State and Government Summit in Ethiopia. By now, you've seen or heard about the number of comments that Kenyans are making and naming Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama. And you know that Kenyan president has also named him as being one of the African leaders who endorsed Ruto's candidature after they met. However, after the sad turn of events, the Kenyan president expressed displeasure that Africa did not choose Raila Odinga. Listen to him.
As you know, this setup was a setup for celebration. You can all see. But I would not be telling the truth if I didn't say I am disappointed. I am. But I am disappointed because of two things. Number one, I am disappointed that Raila Amolo Odinga did not win because he was the best candidate. And I have a regret for Africa that they missed an opportunity to be served by the finest. Having said that, I have 3 things that I'm proud of. Number 1, Baba made me very proud. He was the best candidate that we could put forward. He was available. Whenever I booked an appointment, he was there. Whenever he had to travel, he was there. Whenever it was early morning or late evening, he was present. And he was there all the way.
Obviously unhappy, Kenya's President Ruto there on his disappointment and that African leaders did not vote for Raila Odinga. Well, let's bring in the head of our foreign affairs desk, Blessed Sogah, because there's a lot of controversy brewing around this particular election. First, though, why was this year's election much more competitive?
A lot of competition because the forerunners were all coming from the Eastern Bloc. So the likes of Ali Yusuf from Djibouti and Raila Odinga, who's a known political figure not just in the East but across Africa. These 2 names were in the lead for the elections, and that's why it was very, very competitive. And
there's a lot of talk about Ruto hopeful that Ghana was actually going to cast the ballot. If you take a look at the trajectory, it started with Ruto leaning over to then President Akufo-Addo, and after elections, obviously there was a new head of state, and per the constitution, that decision will solely lie with our new president, John Dramani Mahama. So the very first foreign trip, if you recall, by John Mahama was to Kenya, and that was even done twice because before his swearing in, John Mahama was in Kenya, obviously because of his ties with the likes of the former Kenyan president Uhuru Kenyatta, who then shared a joint government with the same figure we're talking about, Raila Odinga. So clearly because of that, the expectation was, there is some sort of goodwill, and so having been there twice, John Mahama would lean the way of the Eastern Bloc. But here lies the case. You have 2 candidates coming in from the eastern side as well. So quite a very tough race then for Raila Odinga and Lee Yusuf. Of course, the gentleman from Casablanca was a bit lost in the race because of these 2 figures. Well, we'll talk about all the Kenyans and the concerns you're raising on social media, but Ghana also took the spotlight at a pre-summit session with the election of some citizens as AU officials. Tell us. Precisely. And we were fortunate because prior to the election of the AU chairperson, there were a series of elections just to appoint some other officials of the African Union Commission. Ama Chumwa, our former ambassador to Ethiopia, has now successfully been selected as the AU commissioner. Will be dealing with issues of migration and all of that, and social issues at the AU Commission. There is Jane Gasu, Ambassador Jane Gasu, who will now be serving on the AU issues of international law, the commission that was formed for it. And guess what? Edem Senano, who I was just speaking to a couple of minutes ago, has been retained to serve on the African Union board against anti-corruption. So big win for us, and also a plus going out to Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who is attending his very first summit as foreign minister, and then having witnessed all of these 3 individuals being elected as AU officials. We've also secured the second vice position in terms of the heads of states and governments. The arrangement now will go to Lorenzo of Angola, I believe, and of course there are 2 other executive positions. We're taking the second vice position now as the Republic of Ghana. So it's like a big win for us, 4 in the pack for us, and then our good friends in Kenya. Maybe better luck next time. That's all we can say. They've been talking on social media. They are obviously unhappy. Blessed, thank you so much for joining us as the head of our foreign affairs desk, giving us all the rundown. Michael Ashale joins me in studio briefly with what Kenyans have been saying on social media. What exactly is our crime?
Well, Emefa, first of all, they want the list of all presidents who promised and didn't vote for Kenya to be made public. We need to know our enemies. This is coming from Lord Abraham Mutai. And this one says that at top of the list of suspects they know they didn't vote for their president. They mentioned Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC. Then they said number 6 with a question mark. Then somebody comes to say Ghana. Or somebody says know your enemies. Then what? More than anything else, it's important to look inwards at self first before senselessly running about seeking where to heap the blame. But Emefa, there seems to be some food that was eaten somewhere. There's this one
coming up everywhere.
This one says Ghana's John Mahama even visited President Ruto's private home, with President reciprocating by attending Mahama's swearing in. It's our neighbor, but felt more close to Djibouti, DRC. But that was supposed to be the comment I had. I found the one with the food. He says President John Mahama of Ghana even came to Ruto's Kilgore's home and ate roasted goat, but later failed to vote for Raila Odinga. This is crazy. This last one, also on food. John Mahama, you came to our country and lots of pleasantries were displayed, showing John and Ruto are good friends. President John reciprocated by making Kenya his first foreign trip as elected Ghana president. President Ruto hosted him at his rural side home, where they enjoyed, well, I'm sure this will possibly be the pork, Imbuzi Choma, kuku fry. Raila Odinga brought in fresh imbuta. I'm guessing they are going to a list of things, but clearly they were expecting that all of this would have swayed the opinion of President John Mahama to vote for him. They are alleging that possibly one of the people who didn't vote for him.
Well, that's the expectation on the part of John Mahama, but just a bit of clarity for the purposes of education. Even if John Mahama as an individual voting on behalf of the Republic had gone in the way of Raila Odinga, there would still have been a challenge, because during the election the indication we're getting was that SADC, which is the southern parts of Africa, had decided to vote en bloc, which means that whatever decision one was taking, it would affect all. And they had 16 countries in that bloc. West Africa was quite divided because of the coup d'etat, 3 obviously out of our pack, so we don't have the numbers, and we're still falling short by 1 if we had all the packs from West Africa going in for Raila. East will be divided obviously, because you have the gentleman from Djibouti who's now won, and Raila Odinga himself was also from Kenya, so it will create a lot of division in there, and you'll not have the whole pack going in. So
we didn't betray the cause after all.
Even if we didn't. I don't know. The president is back. We should be asking the president what they did.
Leave us alone. Blessed, thank you so much. And thankfully, President Mahama has been welcomed back this afternoon by Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, following that working visit to Germany, where he participated in that Munich Security Conference, and then to Ethiopia, where there's a lot of controversy. And George Riafe, the birthday boy, is in the studios with the latest from the world of business. I'm sure all the alumni, everybody here, past and present, the party happened. Big time party today. George does not feel.
Has it happened already?
The party?
Of course.
Didn't you bring the lunch? You said you bring dinner too, so
maybe it's happened already, because those in the house and other people.
The people you have disappointed today?
Because it fell on a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Yeah, but you always bring it on a...
No, I hardly
Let's do business.
That,
when we finish, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Well, coming up in business, President John Mahama moves to rationalize Ghana's tax structure to help deal with issues of compliance as government grapples with low revenue levels and push to actually remove some taxes. A Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, hence 2025 budget, will come up with initiatives targeted at supporting entrepreneurs. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. Since thanks and Pepsodent Herbal and charcoal.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UC ABC Cape Coast and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209 or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Cavity protection. This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, DNA Yamsa. And stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. You're sending this say you have it's now watch. New Yanits now watch. No be a baby some demoni in us say. DNA Yamsa. Yesim Biara Association Ontario uses Stay Soft and Yanits now watch. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. A year near says choose to Stay Soft. No who's so say no. FDID a dreading crowd to yatu.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, President John Mahama has revealed that the government has started work that would help rationalize the country's tax structure. This move is part of efforts to deal with compliance issues and revenue mobilization challenges. But speaking to Bloomberg News in Munich, Germany, the president noted that they should help deal with issues of compliance.
Was drawn up, and so coming into government, there are a few issues that we thought we should raise with the IMF, including the issue of tax rationalization, because of the target of achieving 24% revenue to GDP by 2028. Program required that revenue should continue increasing at a certain rate. Unfortunately, what the previous government had done was just to slap on more taxes, and we had gotten to a stage where the more taxes that were put on, the less revenue that came in. And so it's necessary for us to look at the whole tax handle, rationalize them, make them more transparent, easy to understand, so that we can have better compliance. We've had that discussion with the IMF, and the IMF have agreed to provide technical assistance for us to do that rationalization.
President John Mahama. Now, the Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, George Ofori-Atta, has revealed that the 2025 budget will come up with a number of initiatives geared towards supporting the youth and entrepreneurs. He made the revelation at the launch of the Youth and Women Business Policy Empowerment Program that is spearheaded and sponsored by the Ghana Chamber of Youth Entrepreneurs and Investment Climate, as well as Reform Facility.
The Ghana cedi continued to recover strongly against the US dollar. The local currency has been stable against the major trading currencies over the past weeks and in some.
And we apologize for that wrong sound earlier on. And let's get back to that story where the Minister of Youth and Development as well as Empowerment, George Ofori-Atta, has revealed that the 2025 budget will come up with a number of initiatives geared towards supporting the youth and entrepreneurs.
The budget is yet to be read. It's one of the things we'll be pushing for. As part of our manifesto, we promise that we will set up an entrepreneurship fund. And you know that we have a lot of funds in the system. We need to do an assessment of what those funds have become, whether they've turned out well or whether they've not turned out well. But it is a fund that His Excellency is committed to launching. We have few initiatives. In our manifesto, we made a 120-day pledge. The CODES program will definitely take place this year, so it will definitely find space. The Agyebeng project will definitely find space in the budget, and the National Apprenticeship Program. These are bold programs and bold initiatives that we promise that in 120 days, it will be launched and it will take off. So certainly, these programs will find space in the budget.
The Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, George Ofori-Atta. Now, the significant reduction in the city's rate of depreciation against the dollar has started impacting on some sectors of the economy. The latest are prices of petroleum products, which has been spared of an increase for this pricing window. There is more in this report.
The Ghana cedi continued to recover strongly against the US dollar. The local currency has been stable against the major trading currencies over the past 2 weeks, and in some cases, it's actually appreciated against the US dollar. Prices of petroleum products would have been kept unchanged or go up marginally from the middle of this month. But due to the cedi's performance and declining prices of crude oil over the past 2 weeks on the international market, prices at the pumps in Ghana should be going down. Some transport operators were initially pushing for an increase in fares due to how the local currency's performance impacted on fuel prices earlier this year. But for some individuals, if the current performance of the cedi sustained, as well as some favorable development in the Middle East, then we could be assured of petroleum products going down further in the coming month.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, the Chartered Institute of Insurance Ghana has stressed the need for state-owned enterprises to add insurance professionals to its board of directors. The president of the institute, Solomon Latte, said this is key in ensuring proper risk management in the running of these institutions. He spoke to Joe Business at the Ghana Insurance Institute of Ghana Investiture and President cocktail event.
If you come to the CIG, we are talking about professionals working in every aspect of insurance, the life sector, the non-life, health, pensions, and all those sectors. So it's a very huge family if you talk about CIG, and we only expect nothing but the best. Going forward, we intend to produce more professionals and also bring them to the fore. I have said, and I'll repeat here, that there should never be an economic dialogue, for instance, without an insurance professional in that. In fact, most of the major boards in the country must have insurance professionals. The idea is to bring proper risk management, insurance-based risk management solutions to our industries, to the economy, to our everyday life.
Solomon Latte is the president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. And if you are a shareholder of EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, today you earned 3 pesos to the value of each share that you owned, and it's now worth 50 pesos. If in terms of returns, since the beginning of this year, it's gone up by more than 9%. Now, this return is far better than other investment instruments on the market. So it looks like the Ghana Stock Exchange or the exchange market continues to offer some good returns to investors who had invested since the beginning of this year. And that's all for business on News Night. Back to you. Emefa wants to go to.
Let's ask the question.
George. She wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking him today that what happened. You said because it was on a weekend.
So we went to in Suriname.
Okay,
you have to explain to them.
So those who were able to make it in Suriname had fun.
Stuff. Somebody was bringing me lunch. I said no, I don't want to.
I am saying it was on a weekend, so you know, just like how President John Mahama said that. The area boys and girls also had to have their own.
Oh, okay. Ms. Bao, let's go. Why?
So now we have them. Area boys.
No wahala. Anyway, Emefa, the Ghana Police Service have arrested the general manager of Elmina Sharks, Kelvin Abuaje. This is in connection with an attack on a referee during a Division 1 football match between Elmina Sharks and Swedro All Blacks in Zone 3. Now, the incident occurred on Sunday at the Indus Stadium in Elmina following the conclusion of the game. According to the police, Kelvin Abuaje, along with other individuals, physically assaulted the referee and some supporters after the match. The suspect is currently in police custody, assisting with investigations, and the police say that efforts are also ongoing to identify and arrest the remaining culprits involved in the attack. Now, in a related development, the spokesperson of Kumasi Asante Kotoko lawyer Samuel Safo Duku says there been some update as far as attempt to arrest the person responsible for the death of Francis Nanapole Frimpong. Now, according to him, in the court's proceedings today, it was revealed that one Brimer has been identified as the killer. He's currently on the run, and the police are making efforts to arrest him. Well, meanwhile, the former Black Stars defender Sam Johnson has waded into all of this violence in the in the sport, emphasizing that if left unchecked, it could lead to the total collapse of the game in the country.
How can you go to the stadium with
something a sharp object
to just kill? I remember. Now you kill him, and then what? Are you okay? Like you are satisfied now that I've killed him, and then what?
I remember Sanidara saying that if we don't take our time, our domestic leagues will die.
Then that is where we are going. That is where we are going. And if we don't look, I was telling, I don't know who I was talking to. I'm like, look, the punishment is not enough.
Well, that's Sam Johnson speaking to my colleague Muftar Nabila in Prime Take, which is due to be aired this week. You can look forward to that. And for that's all we have for you in sport.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. We'll catch you on the Joy News Prime at 7 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Now, they come with hope, eager to learn, but the walls around them are falling apart, just like the system meant to shape their future. In many schools across the 5 regions of the North, pupils sit on blocks or even the bare ground to acquire knowledge. In some schools, just 2 teachers shoulder the burden of educating pupils from kindergarten to basic 6. Joy News' latest series, Crumbling Start, produced by Emmanuel Jivenu, uncovers the disturbing reality of basic education in northern Ghana. Here are excerpts.
For pupils of Sambonjida DA Basic School, having a teacher is a privilege.
This my here.
2 trained teachers shoulder the responsibility of educating pupils from kindergarten to basic 6. Volunteers like Thomas, a senior high school graduate, step in to assist, but the results are troubling.
So I'm coming here to teaching ABCD to describe yourself to the 1 to 3 2. So that's what I'm coming to be teaching for my children. A, B, C, D.
Thomas tries his best, but his grasp of the English language and teaching methodology raises concerns. The school has only 3 classrooms, forcing 2 different classes to share a single space. Teachers struggle to maintain focus and discipline while handling multiple levels at once.
The teachers too, we are a lot of teachers. The whole school from KG1 to P6, we are only 2 teachers. Imagine, if you compare with me, the KG2 to P6, 2 teachers taking from KG2 to P6 is a burden.
For pupils in kindergarten, their classroom is nothing more than a fenced area with blocks intended for construction now serving as furniture. These blocks were donated 5 years ago during the height of campaigning, but they were never used as promised.
The blocks, that was the MP, the current MP, the campaign time, the last election campaign time, that he came and molded the blocks there, that he wanted to build a classroom for the community or for the school. Then, after winning, he didn't come back again. So it's the MP who molded the blocks down and it's still lying down.
That's Crumbling Start, and that full feature will air on the Joy News channel. Tomorrow is an education series produced by Emmanuel Jivenu. It premieres tomorrow, Tuesday, 18 February, on the Joy News channel. Also here on Joy 99.7 FM. I believe will start on the Super Morning Show. Now, over 1,000 suggestions have already poured in as the Education Reform Committee gears up for the much anticipated sector review. Well, tomorrow in the Volta Regional Capital Hall, key stakeholders, experts, and passionate voices will shape the future of learning in Ghana. Already, we know that funding of the free senior high school, especially the cost of boarding students, has come up largely, and it came up also during Joy Prime's National Dialogue series on the Joy News channel, also on Joy Prime. But ahead of tomorrow's conversation, Chairman of the Reform Committee, Professor George K. Teodoro, says over 1,000 submissions have been received. He's also looking forward to engaging about 300 attendees to the launch of the committee's work in Ho tomorrow.
Our plan is to get stakeholders discuss this particular
seen within 5 pillars, the context of 5 pillars. And these pillars were derived from the NDC manifesto and then our strategic plan 2018 to 2030. So the 5 pillars are infrastructure, education financing, quality education provision, regulatory systems, accountability and governance, and then the last one is research evidence for decision making. We have invited a number of stakeholders across board, including parents, students, and as I've said, a number of them. And we are expecting that tomorrow at the launch, we are expecting we will get about 300 people at the launch. So after the launch, we have divided the country into 3. We have the northern zone, the middle zone, and the southern zone. So after the launch, the zonal deliberations will start. And one of the things that we put in view of the short period we had to work was also to go online. So a page has been created on the Ministry of Education website for citizens and those in the diaspora to submit comments, proposals, and any other information.
That's Professor George K.T. Odro. There is chairman of the National Education Reform Committee, and we're all over that review meeting tomorrow in the Volta Regional Capital Hall. Now, Minister of Education and member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idris, was reaffirmed the government's commitment to transforming public basic schools into modern facilities. Well, there's something we'll be looking at. A recent report by 10 civil society organizations, including Star Ghana, Campaign for Female Education, and ActionAid, revealed that over 5,400 schools in the country still operate under trees, makeshift sheds, and deteriorating structures. While speaking at the launch of the Okaikwe South Public Schools Renovation and Upgrade Project, Haruna Idris said the current state of public schools is an indictment on the government.
Evidence abounds that there is a strong relationship between good learning environment and good learning outcomes. So he got it very right. Yes. The second would have been an indictment on the state and government.
That's the Education Minister, Haruna Idris. Now, the immediate past registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat has proposed ways government can raise funds to cater for Ghanaian students abroad. The students who have been speaking to Join You say some of their colleagues are facing extreme financial hardships due to prolonged delays in tuition and stipend payments, forcing them to engage in illegal activities and even go to the extent of selling their sperm to make ends meet. You can hear from some of them.
Last week, 8 of our students, that's my mates, are using one person's documents to work because the 20 hours given us to work, we are not due. We are not getting jobs to do with that 20 hours that is given us. And fortunately or unfortunately for them, it's like those that they are working with have rectified that there are different people coming in one name. So they reported the incident to the higher authorities.
2 students from University of Nottingham University, they actually had an interview with them somewhere last year, and they mentioned, in fact, they have receipts. One of them forwarded some of the receipts to me. That is what people are doing.
Why will a student on a scholarship program resort to selling their sperm?
Because you can't survive. I mean, you need to eat, you need to pay your bills.
You realize that a number of events have either been suspended, cancelled, or on the verge of being disrupted. And when that happens, it means that the liabilities are transferred directly from the GSS to the students. And so you have a number of colleagues being locked out of university systems.
Some students abroad there speaking on the law with Samson Ladi and Yenenes on Sundays at 2 p.m. on the Joy News channel. While the immediate past registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat, Dr. Kingsley Agyebeng, believes some taxes the current government wants to scrap can be used for such payments.
What I handed over is about 600 million Ghana cedis at the time I was living. If the dollar rate is about 15, then you can conveniently say that it's about $45 million, way less than what we came to inherit. The nature of the liability of the scholarship funding is a revolving one. You always have students or scholars whose term of study will not be coterminous with that of the physical year. So whereas the academic year usually starts in September, you have the physical year starting in January. So definitely you always have a gap. And So I appeal to the president that globalization is the way to go. He should have mercy on these students abroad. Maybe some of them are even his party close relatives of his. So I'm appealing to him that he should not abandon these students. You need to legislate, and as part of the legislation, you need to have a statutory source of funding. So for instance, this government has the greatest opportunity to institute that. The COVID, which is an earmark task, can be rationalized into scholarships. The betting task, which they intend to scrap, percentage of it can come to fund scholarships.
That's Dr. Kingsley Agyebeng, is the immediate past registrar of a scholarship secretariat, was one MP, and he's been speaking to us on this particular issue. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of News Time. Before then, though, some of your messages. Musa Batwa in Aswasi says, so far so very good, considering the lay-down procedures being executed by President Mahama. It is clear that he's walking the talk. And this one says, it is heart-gladdening that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is working relentlessly to ensure that cocoa farmers are giving deserving prices for their produce. And Nana Spintex Road says the NPP politicians must be careful of their utterances. And okay, and then also Nane Kwema Boatin says Ghana has not benefited from this incompetent special prosecutor. He say all he knows is to organize press conferences and be speaking. Okay, big grammar. That's some of your messages that you sent in via WhatsApp, and that's it for News Night. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Have a good evening.